So, when the business manager asks you to give him a report 5 minutes before the meeting, this is what you get. So John wrote this. I'm going to share it with you. And as you know, he's announced his retirement at the end of the month. So it says here that John DiTusa was initiated into Local 3 on January 21st, 2013. Yeah, well, that's close. 1972, 2013. So no pressure on these reports. But John did work out of town in the late 70s when there was no work in New York City. He received his A card in January 1979, worked as an A journeyman, a shop steward, a sub-foreman, and a foreman. He served on the Dodge Report committees in the Area Survey Committee, the Wage and Policy, and as an election inspector. He was an alternate delegate to the 96 IBW Convention and the New York State AFL-CIO Convention. He served as a delegate and sergeant at arms to the 2001 IBW Convention. John served as an IBW Disaster Fund trustee, and I will tell you that that's where he distinguished himself. John made sure every penny that was committed to that disaster fund was allocated to the children and the members of Local 3 that were killed in the Trade Center, and he did a great job with that. Amongst others, John was elected to the examining board of Local 3 in 1996, the executive board in 1999, and appointed a business agent in 2006. He's been the construction desk agent since '06 and was given the additional responsibility of the J Division in 2007. John's been honored by the Queen's Italian Heritage Foundation and was the Allied Club's Man of the Year in 2011. He's a member of the Allied Club, the Catholic Council, and the Futurians. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in Labor Studies in 2004. He lives in Lecchester with his wife Ellen. They're the proud parents of Diane, Linda, and Laura. Linda is married to her husband Frank and AJ, and they're the proud parents of John Niklos. So, brothers and sisters, I want to wish John DiTusa a healthy and a safe and a happy retirement. You've earned it, John, and I wish you all the best. John DiTusa.
Chris asked if I would please be short in this report. I don't know what he meant. I think he meant brief. We kid around about that a lot to staff. You can't take it seriously. It is what it is. You get what you see. Business Manager Christopher Erickson, President John Marshall, members of the esteemed dais, officers and members of Local 3. Good evening. I started on January 21st, 1972, and I have a lot of people to thank. First, Harry Van Arsdale, for all he did, and for a show of humility that I will never ever forget. I was a young apprentice. I think I was first year, second half, so 72, 73-ish, and I used to see Harry on the train every day, going to his job at the Central Labor Council, well, not every day, twice a week to the Central Labor Council, and I thought it was quite unique that here's a man of such esteem on the train, riding the train with me. So, of course, I was too shy to go up and say hello to him. I was just a man of his stature. And one day, I had a Local 3 stuff on, and he came up to me. And I made the mistake of calling him Mr. Van Arsdale. And he proceeded to chastise me as only Harry could. He said to me, "It's either Harry or Brother Van Arsdale. I will never be Mr. Van Arsdale to you." And I always remembered that. And I carried that with me to this day. It was a special moment for me. And I learned to work with Harry, of course, over the years. But that was certainly a special time, the first time I ever got to talk to him. And he corrected me right away. Second, Thomas Van Arsdale, for recommending me for the examining and the executive boards and for appointing me a business representative. I had the opportunity to see Tom the other day. We happened to be in the restaurant across the street having lunch. He looks great. He's certainly as sharp as ever, and we spent some quality time together, and of course, I wish him well. Third, and of course, certainly not last, Christopher Erickson. Chris, for keeping me on as a business rep, and for having the trust in me to give me the responsibility of the J Division. You know, they had some serious problems there, and Chris entrusted me to that division, and I will be eternally grateful for him for having the trust in me of doing that. That was a great moment for me. Thank you, Chris. Fourth, my family, for understanding when I cannot be at all their activities because I was going to one meeting or another. I especially would like to thank my daughter Linda and her husband Frank, who are both members, for making me the grandfather of John Nicholas. I intend to be at all his activities, as I could not be at my children's. Fifth, I would like to thank my grandfather, because he didn't get on the line to be a plumber. And last, I wish to thank my fellow members of Local 3, the greatest union in the world, for making it a good run. God bless you, thank you, and good night.
Ryan says, who retires on Halloween? Doesn't mean you can wear a mask to work, John. Now, I want to give the report regarding the Italy trip that this membership approved. I did speak at the 3rd District Progress meeting, and a little bit of the history briefly was that in 2011 in Vancouver, Carlo Damasi, the head of the electrical workers from Italy, spoke, and as he sat in the front row, and I'm watching him, he starts talking about the electrical workers, our members that were killed on 9/11. And he said many of them were sons of Italy. And I was taken by that. I invited him to New York. He came here, he visited this site, and in May of this year, I had the opportunity to represent Ed Hill at an international convention in Italy, and we started the groundwork that was offered by the Italians to plan an event in Padua on September 16th of this year. And with the support of the IO and the Local 3 membership, we traveled to Italy on September 13th. The delegation was led by Sam Chillier, our International Secretary-Treasurer, Sherilyn Wright, the Assistant to Ed Hill, Jerry Westerholm, Director of Construction, members of Local 3, Father Brian, Gary LaBarba, and most importantly, Sebastiano and Joanne Licciardi were there, whose son Ralph was killed on 9/11. They came to represent the members. And, you know, it's been 12 years, and it's quite solemn, and the event was quite solemn. The protocol in Italy is very touching. We had no international incidents, despite having Father Brian Jordan with us, who was absolutely capable of having an international incident. He said Mass twice in the hotel bar. I renewed my wedding vows, 30 years in a hotel bar. I told my wife, I'm not sure if that counts, but I think it counts. 30 years. Father Brian, and so did Tommy Caperso as well. But the event was a mass, and it was a march, and it was a celebration, and it was a ceremony. It was the bell that we've seen so many times. Pete Sullivan, Pete, you awake up there? I saw you nodding. Pete Sullivan put together again this bell with the names of our members. The bell was rung, the wreaths was sent, the words were spoken, and the exhibit of 9/11 that the Italians put together to commemorate this event was then, this is an exhibit that's going to pass all over Italy through the colleges and end in a labor college as a permanent exhibit.
pretty special. We met with FLAY representatives in Florence and Rome. But the trip was a time out for all of us. It was a time for healing. It was a time for reflection. It was a time for faith. It was a time for bonding. Two cities, the city of Padua and the electrical workers in Italy, and us from New York. It was special. And there's somebody here tonight that I'm going to ask to come up to say hello, and that is Sebastiano Licciardi, Ralph's father.
Good evening, please. You make me, I become emotional when the people stand up for me, and then they become taller than I am. So, good evening to all. Mr. Chris Erickson. He said, well, I was soon I forget. John Marshall, I'm sorry. Members of the dais, members of the board. And please, excuse my arrogance, but if I can get your permission through my son to call all of you my brothers and sisters. I was very honored to be called upon to join them in a celebration in Italy, including my wife, of course. She's the other half. And we got there. First of all, we got at the airport. My son used to brag all the time about the closeness of the ties with the members of the union that he loved so much. And I started to see that right at the airport, through Italy. Of course, I spoke Italian. I was born and raised there. And the day of the ceremony, we left. We had a 10-minute walk, which was about 2.5 hours, to my feet anyway. And we got there. I have to say, Father Brian Jordan, God bless him. The guy is crazy, but very good. Now, Mr. Erickson spoke about to have the mess down in the bar. It was a very small room, and twice we had it on Sunday night and on Tuesday when we left Padua. He went, well, during the homily, he had a tiny little bit curse word, and I have never seen, since he was the sacristan, I never saw anybody do the sign of the cross 3 times so fast. I says, my God, what is this? I'm getting what a record. But it was, the Mass in itself was so beautiful. This was a Sunday night. We all held hands together, and it was really special. I mean, something that I never experienced. And I go to church, well, not lately much, but I used to go all the time. For once, I considered becoming a monk, and then I discovered monkey business, so that took me out of it. But Monday morning, we went there to church. We walked there. We had the Bishop of Padua officiating with Father Jordan was over there, co-celebrating the Mass, and it was a very beautiful Mass. So we walked out, and I had to thank the members of the bagpipe guys. They got there, and we walked to the memorial, and I tell you, it is so emotional to watch these 3 bagpipers and 1 drummer 2 by 2, walking it. We made a parade, which was about 5 or 6 blocks, and a bagpipe having the American flag. It's something that you guys have to see. Going through the street of Padua, and people looking at us, how proud me, my new country, which is America, makes really, I can't believe it. And my son was crazy about that too. But we went to the memorial, and it was really beautiful. The bell, the toll of the bell, Mr. Marshall calling the names of each individual, and then by design, somebody took a picture in the sky. There is an American base up in northern Italy somewhere, I think they call Aviano. There were streaks of plane going back and forth and leaving the smoke. Somebody has a picture, I know, I think my wife did too. And the Italian people, the unions, which they call over there sindacati, they did an excellent job. They're very good. They're very thankful that we were there. They made us feel like kings, I should say. And it was a beautiful ceremony. The place is nice. Then we went to the museum. The museum is this old building that is so gorgeous. I mean, it's a lot of repairs too, but look, who's looking at that? But the museum, the way they have done it, and they really feel for what America went through. And yes, there were a lot of Italian descent people who died in 9/11. But it was a beautiful, I thank all of you, and Mr. Marshall, Mr. Erickson, and all the board, the guys that were there. And most of all, I want to thank Father Jordan, that he really kept us a good spirit, and everywhere we went, he would say, and I'm going to leave you with this, Viva Local 3, Viva IBW, and most of all, God bless America, and Viva America. I thank you very much for your time.
You know, every time I hear Father Brian curse, you know, I just gotta like, you know, start crossing myself and I can't get it done fast enough. Again, I want to thank the members of Local 3. That was a big deal for approving the expenses to incur that opportunity to go there, and for this man and his family to celebrate and recognize some healing over his son. It was a great thing. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much.